The story ignites with the entire city in absolute chaos, engulfed in raging flames everywhere, all beneath a terrifying, blood-red sky. Panicked citizens sprint frantically for their lives, and amidst all that pandemonium, a sinister voice ominously declares to everyone present, the nightmare era has only just begun. From within the fiery darkness and smoke, a colossal winged figure slowly starts to ascend, its very presence promising even further destruction. It then reveals itself clearly. A dark angel, a menacing level 4 enemy. Without a moment's hesitation, the creature unleashes a barrage of energy blasts, utterly obliterating everything in its path. Watching the devastation unfold from afar, two young girls witness the entire catastrophe. Feeling utterly helpless, the redhead freezes, as she recognizes it as a level 4 monster, the kind capable of wiping out an entire country. Her blonde friend tries to encourage her, bravely stating she'll fight alongside her, but the redhead urges her to focus on evacuating civilians, even as everything crumbles around them. The red-haired girl resolves to stall the monster, hoping to buy even just one precious minute. Her partner is visibly stressed, but the redhead promises she'll somehow make it out alive. Just then, an emergency alert blares, summoning every awakened person to the local university. The girl admits she's only a level 3 awakened, but she's prepared to push her limits as much as possible. Meanwhile, the Dark Angel begins preparing for another attack, muttering unsettling, incomprehensible words. Then, it suddenly charges straight at them, and the redhead yells at her friend to run for her life. Suddenly, a dark-haired guy appears, telling her to move aside. She's stunned, as this mysterious dude preps his attack, and without giving the creature even a millisecond, he utterly obliterates it with one insane punch. The Dark Angel instantly freezes into a stone statue, and the guy casually poses in front of it like a true boss. The two girls are absolutely speechless, realizing he just one-shotted a level 4 monster. Smirking, he remarks it's been ages since he last saw a human. Then, he asks what year it is, leaving the redhead utterly confused. She stammers, trying to ask the boy's identity, while the blonde absolutely freaks out behind her, but he asks again, his voice now darker. This time, fearfully, she replies it's October 6th, 2024. The guy looks utterly shook, because to him, only a year has passed. In his head, he's thinking he spent hundreds of years in hell, but here, only 1 year went by. That's when it finally hits him. His whole calculation about time distortion was completely, utterly wrong. He remembers that exactly 1 year ago is when his entire nightmare began. That was the day he first faced his biggest enemy. His mind drifts back to that horrific fall, into the hellish demon realm of Rigo. It was a stretch of endless suffering, but in the end, he still came out on top. After what felt like an eternity, he finally made it back to his own world. Meanwhile, the redhead starts wondering if he's maybe an S-Class awakened or some secret government weapon, but that wouldn't make sense. Or she'd already know. And the young man thinks quietly about someone falling into a different timeline. Out of nowhere, an armored car screeches to a halt. Right beside the trio, a bunch of agents in bulletproof vests jump out, and more awakened individuals show up on site. Their leader instantly orders everyone to get into combat formation. Walking in, like someone who solves problems for a living, he greets the two girls, and the redhead immediately recognizes him as leader, Kim Jong-woo. He places a hand on her shoulder, apologizes for being late, and tells her to leave the rest to them. Jong-woo asks for details on the threat, but one of his men rudely butts in, clearly wanting attention, and starts telling our MC to step aside. The soldier even accuses him of wearing some fake, awakened cosplay, getting annoyed because he's being ignored. The redhead, sensing danger, begs the leader to calm down his reckless teammate. But our hero doesn't care about their drama. He gives the guy a 3-second ultimatum. His eyes glow with a sinister energy, as he asks the man for one good reason, to let him live. The bulky awakened agent panics. He pulls out his dagger, readying himself for a fight. The red-haired girl shouts, warning them that the dark-haired man literally obliterated a level 4 enemy earlier. This revelation utterly shocks and rattles her leader. Panicking, the muscular agent realizes he needs to kill this stranger immediately, or he'll be the one completely wrecked. He charges forward, screaming the name of his ability, Blade Storm, but he doesn't even get the chance to use it properly. The dark-haired boy halts the entire attack, with just one finger placed on the man's forehead. Then, with ridiculous strength, he slams the guy into the ground so hard that everything around them cracks. Looking at the man sprawled helplessly on the ground, the protagonist coldly declares that the 3 seconds are up. Jung-woo is frozen in disbelief, utterly stunned, yelling and demanding to know what he thinks he's doing to his teammate. but the mysterious man doesn't even acknowledge him. Instead, he simply says, "Now isn't the time to worry about that." He then looks to the sky, and gravely warns them that the portal is opening again, and even if all of them teamed up, they wouldn't stand a chance against whatever is coming. The awakened around them instantly panic, absolutely horrified by his chilling words. The leader can barely process what he's seeing, shaking uncontrollably with fear. Then, a gigantic monster claws its way out of the portal, immediately identified as a terrifying level 6 enemy. Leader Jungwoo calls headquarters in desperation, reporting that a monstrous enemy called Red Horn has appeared. At the command center, the operator reveals that this creature could wipe out over 30 million people in a single day. Realizing the sheer scale of the threat, Jungwoo activates his powers and orders every awakened in Korea to be summoned. The whole group prepares for battle, grimly aware they need to buy time, even if it means dying. A man wearing glasses yells at the blonde girl to escape with the redhead, while the awakened squad bravely charges toward the colossal monster. Our MC and the blonde girl stay back, watching the unfolding chaos. She's totally bewildered why the dark-haired boy isn't lifting a finger, so she demands why he's not helping his own allies. He just gives her a chilling smirk and asks, "Why the hell should I even care?" She insists, "This is your world too, and you clearly have enough power to protect it." He simply challenges her, "Give me one good reason why I should bother," he continues, stating, "The weak always get crushed, and the strong survive. That's the iron rule the powerful must follow." He declares, people should fight for their own lives if they're able, otherwise, they'll just be utterly destroyed by someone stronger. Which, conveniently enough, happens, as the monster brutally smashes another awakened fighter. Witnessing the brutal scene unfold so close terrifies the blonde girl to her core. Ignoring the ongoing battle, he turns to her and asks where the Sheen's office is, but the girl simply collapses onto her knees. He then scoffs, calls her useless, and spins around to leave. Serena snaps at him, yelling that he's crazy. She tries to drag her friend to safety, but the blonde girl stubbornly refuses to move. The young woman, Nuri, stands her ground defiantly and states, "This isn't how truly powerful people behave." She pulls her gleaming swords from her portals, declaring that those with power must times act. She charges headlong at the massive monster, shouting that the strong should protect the weak. The boy is genuinely surprised. She's even trying to fight this colossal beast, but her attack barely even registers on it. One of her swords gets violently knocked from her grasp. The monster opens its massive, gaping maw, ready to swallow her whole. Nuri closes her eyes, a single tear falling as she accepts her grim fate. Suddenly, a powerful voice commands the monster to lower itself. A moment later, its huge head is violently smashed into the asphalt. The two awakened fighters stare in utter shock at what just transpired. The protagonist is now holding Nuri securely in his arms, calling her an interesting girl. His clothes billow like demon wings as he holds her, and he says he likes her. She instantly blushes a deep red. Then, the boy introduces himself as Taehyung, and then declares himself her new master. This self-proclaimed great demon lord leaves the blonde girl utterly bewildered by his sudden, bold declaration. She stares, utterly baffled, wondering if he could possibly be a real demon. But her thoughts are brutally interrupted as the monster unleashes another roar, ready to strike. A flicker of annoyance crosses his face. The dark-haired boy dismisses it as an insignificant creature. With a truly terrifying expression, he declares it doesn't even deserve to utter a sound. In his presence, he unleashes one precise punch that instantly silences the beast. With ridiculous, overwhelming strength, the sheer force of his blow shakes everything around them. He glances at the monster and coolly complains. Its head is still arrogantly higher than his. He forms a menacing sphere of energy above it, demanding why it dares not bow before him. The sphere drops, brutally crushing the creature's head into the ground. The awakened around them freeze solid, completely paralyzed by this insane display of power. Taehyung calmly surveys the defeated monster, stating, "Now we're on the same level." He stretches out his hand, effortlessly extracting a gleaming crystal from the corpse. The purple crystal flies directly to him, and he catches it with ease. Studying the stone with an inscrutable expression, he comments, "This is all it is?" Shocked, the squad leader wonders aloud if that could possibly be a magical stone. Then, the crystal dissolves completely into particles of light. The blonde girl watches, utterly transfixed, still overwhelmed by everything. She stammers, asking if something happened to him. The demon lord turns to her, and imperiously orders her to follow him, leaving the girl utterly baffled. Awkwardly, she asks what exactly he means, but he simply states he won't repeat himself. He makes it chillingly clear she has no choice but to follow. which absolutely terrifies her. Just then, Jungwoo shouts that he absolutely won't allow it. He thanks Taehyung for his assistance, but firmly insists that Nuri is one of times them asterisk, and cannot simply be taken. With an icy stare, the protagonist replies, simply, I can. Taehyung declares he didn't ask permission from anyone, then commands everyone to move aside, unleashing an overwhelming aura. He forces every awakened one around him to drop to their knees, writhing in pain. Jungwoo can't comprehend the sheer power he's witnessing. The hero calls them all mere insects, clearly irritated by their interference. He decides he should wipe them all out, once and for all, but Nuri steps directly in front of him, begging him not to hurt her comrades. She agrees to follow him, as long as he promises not to harm her friends. The Demon Lord studies her, remarking she seems fair, but he notices there's something more to her. Suddenly, several system screens appear, displaying all her information. He realizes she's a dual class, extremely rare even in the demon world. Even though her stats are low, he believes he can train her well. Declaring that she has been chosen, he extends his hand, and after hesitating, she takes it. The moment he touches her, she screams in pain, but he tells her not to worry. It's just a recording ritual, and it won't harm her. A massive red energy shoots into the sky, creating a huge pillar of light. The remaining awakened watch from afar, staring at the pillar and wondering, what the hell just happened? And with that, the duo vanishes into the air, and the red-haired girl just keeps wondering what had happened. A little later, the scene cuts to this purple-haired dude, healing leader Jungwoo's injuries, and patching up all the beaten-up, awakened people. Meanwhile, Serena is chatting with rescue team leader Sungho, who's struggling to process the fact that one awakened guy soloed a bunch of high-level enemies, and even snatched Nuri at the same time. The girl tells him she can barely believe it either, and drops the guy's name, Taehyung. She also mentions he'd been hunting for the Xian's office, which instantly ticks Sungho off. Serena asks if they're planning to chase him, but she warns them it's basically impossible, since no one there could ever stand a chance against such a monster. Meanwhile, cut back to Taehyung and Nuri walking off together. As they approach a building, he asks if this is the place, and the nervous blonde girl confirms it in her head. She debates whether she should try, warning her team about her location. She even considers sending her coordinates right then, but Taehyung, reading her like an open book, casually states there's no need to warn anyone, totally freaking her out. He explains he already knows what she's thinking, and that her red-haired friend will definitely send people soon anyway. He adds that even if those people show up, they'll just get crushed like ants. Then he turns to her and drops the bomb, that she has absolutely no way to escape anymore, because she belongs to him now. Our MC simply orders her to lead the way, and with no real choice, she agrees. With a shaky sigh, she points forward and quietly leads him. When they reach a door, Taehyung stops to stare at a photo and mentally calls out to his grandmother, saying that, after hundreds of years, wandering through demonic hells, he has finally made it back. As he looks at the picture longer, he admits to himself that he never forgot her, even after all that time. Then he announces he's going to find her now. But suddenly, Nuri points at something inside the office. In pure shock, the entire place is trashed. Seeing all the destruction, Taehyung instantly gets blinded by rage and yells, demanding to know who did it. Meanwhile, an armored vehicle is speeding toward the site. Inside it, leader Sungho reveals he did some digging on someone named Taehyung. The records confirm the office address and the name match perfectly. It's the same guy then. The red-haired girl casually reveals his full name is Beyonce Taehyung, and she bursts out laughing. Serena can't hold back her laughter either, giggling at the sheer absurdity of his name, like some kind of built-in joke. The purple-haired healer then explains that, according to their data, Taehyung is literally just a normal, unawakened student. Not even awakened. Suddenly, Sungho remembers a recent, brutal fight between the Daega Guild and the Ilsim Guild. Horrified, he realizes the situation is far worse than he imagined. The team leader in the car immediately tells everyone to hurry, because something seriously bad is about to go down. Back on Taehyung's side, he angrily demands to know what exactly happened, but Nuri gets visibly nervous. She says she doesn't know everything, but there had been a huge, devastating clash between awakened guilds. She goes on to explain that, even though people tried desperately to stop the fight, multiple buildings completely collapsed. Some people didn't get out in time, and ended up tragically trapped under the rubble. Taehyung drops to his knees among the debris, thinking of his grandmother, clutching a photograph. He calls out to her name with heartbreaking sadness. His mind flashes back to his childhood, him hugging her, while she playfully complained about her weight. She worked hard, and, the hopeful kid, promised they'd have a better home someday. But returning to the present, he breaks down inside, thinking about how excited he was to finally live with her again. The blonde girl watches him from a distance, feeling the full, oppressive weight of the grief he's radiating. A dark, heavy aura begins rising around him, as he demands to know who caused all of this. Furious, he questions, which unlucky souls dared to hurt the only family he had left. His anger peaks as he asks, what kind of monsters could have done something like this? Then he pauses, sensing something. Leader Sung-ho formally introduces himself as part of the White Tiger Intelligence Service. He bows, requesting a word, his mind already reeling with a thought. Given the immense energy radiating from the young man, Taehyung must be at least a Class A awakened, but Taehyung simply declares he's not feeling well, and coldly tells everyone to get out of his damn way. Sung-ho insists, explaining that the culprits responsible are none other than the Society of the Awakened, though their identities remain shrouded in mystery. Taehyung's response is a chillingly terse, that's it? And he turns to walk away, leaving Sung-ho utterly bewildered. Then Taehyung announces he's heading straight for the Society of the Awakened. A shocked Sung-ho wonders aloud, is this guy seriously planning to face them all alone? But Serena interjects, calmly stating, perhaps he actually can. Realizing the grave seriousness of the situation, Sung-ho orders his team to move immediately and stop Taehyung at all times costs. The squad members groan and complain, annoyed at having to restrain some random dude. The guy in the beanie mocks the whole situation, saying if Taehyung is actually awakened, then this shouldn't be a problem. He casually throws a handful of stones at him, but the stones instantly shatter into dust, not even leaving a mark on Taehyung. The team comments amongst themselves that their target actually seems pretty strong. Then, another awakened member leaps forward and attacks with a massive, unwieldy weapon, but it doesn't even faze Taehyung, who stands there with a completely blank expression, holding the massive weapon effortlessly with one hand. Then, with one smooth, swift motion, he yeets the guy into the far distance. The beanie guy immediately screams at everyone to not attack Taehyung anymore. Taehyung then uses an invisible barrier to block another assault, and the beanie guy is slammed violently into the ground by an unseen, powerful force, as Taehyung coldly orders them all to move aside. Witnessing this spectacle, Serena warns the others that they never stood a chance of stopping someone like him. With the entire team utterly defeated, she confirms she wasn't exaggerating when she said he could wipe out the entire Times Association. Surrounded by a suffocating dark aura, their leader wonders, how could anyone possibly hope to stop a monster like Times that asterisk? Suddenly, a hand snatches Taehyung's cloak. It's the blonde girl, desperately trying to hold him back. She calls out, "Master," begging him not to go through with his devastating plan. Taehyung challenges her, "Do you, my servant, truly dare to defy my direct orders?" He remembers the soul-binding ritual he performed earlier, a ritual meant to imprint his very soul onto hers. He explains that, because of this bond, she should instinctively obey him and never betray his trust, but her willpower proves far stronger than he ever anticipated. She passionately argues that good people still exist in this society. They fight relentlessly, day and night, to protect everyone. Even if some brand them as enemies, they still fight. She cries that they fight for every soul they couldn't save, and that she truly understands his profound pain. With tears streaming down her face, she confesses it's all just too tragic, and her heart aches too. She desperately begs him to stop this madness, because there are still people out there doing everything they can to prevent even more unimaginable tragedies from unfolding. Hearing her words, Taehyung slowly begins to calm. He wonders why he even returned to this world in the first place. His mind flashes back to a cherished memory of his grandmother. She used to say, "You don't need to be the best in school or excel at sports. You just need to be a good person, my dear. Help those who need it." Deeply moved, the demon lord gently pats the blonde girl's head. He thanks her, continuing to pat her head as he explains, "Because of you asterisk," he says, "I remembered the true reason I came back." He recalls that the only reason he endured everything was so he could return and live peacefully with his grandmother. Looking at the ruins, he laments, "But now, it's too late, for the person I loved more than anything." Then, with renewed resolve, he declares, "I will protect this world, exactly the way my grandmother taught me." The blonde girl beams, a wide smile spreading across her face, enthusiastically agreeing with every word he just said. But he immediately gives her a playful scolding, reminding her sharply, "You wouldn't even be alive if I hadn't shown you mercy." He then turns to the defeated team, announcing, "I will no longer pursue the society, but only under 1, Time's crucial condition. The team looks confused, so their leader asks, "What condition?" Taehyung holds up a glowing, mysterious object, and dramatically reveals his terms. They must find his grandmother's killer, within just 3 days. The scene then cuts to this huge, intimidating building, the Regional Intelligence Service, HQ. Inside, a frantic man is sprinting through the halls, yelling for team leader Kang, like his life depends on it. He finally finds him and immediately starts freaking out, cursing Kang for disappearing on them. The chief keeps chewing him out, saying, he should have come back and reported everything, already. Sung-ho apologizes, explaining he was busy cleaning up the disaster, but the chief demands answers on how they're supposed to stop a level 6 enemy. Sung-ho says he'll explain later, but has something important to tell him, which instantly makes the chief curious. Then he spots Taehyung, and straight up asks if he's awakened. Sung-ho explains, he's a newly awakened they just found at the scene. The chief asks if he isn't registered yet, then orders them to test him, and register him as soon as possible, leaving Sung-ho and Serena sweating bullets. The Demon Lord overhears everything, and with that smug tone, asks if they seriously want to test him. He cracks a little smile, like he's genuinely entertained. Next scene, you're in a packed corridor, shoulder to shoulder with people. The Demon Lord complains about the crazy crowd, but Serena explains, most of them are here hoping to get awakened status. He gets impatient, and asks if they really expect him to wait. She panics and runs to reception, thinking if he's forced to wait, something terrible might go down. She tells the receptionist, they're from the White Tiger team. The staff confirms, if this is for the power measurement of Mr. Beyonce, Taehyung, but points at the huge line and says, tons of people are waiting, and they'll need to wait 1 or 2 hours. Instantly, Taehyung's eyes turn red with anger. A dark aura seeps out as he demands, if they truly dared, make him wait behind these useless people. A guy in line snaps back, telling him to wait like everyone else, but he immediately freezes in terror, under our Demon Lord's overwhelming pressure. With utter disgust, Taehyung orders everyone to move out of his way. The receptionist goes utterly pale. Our MC states that measuring these insignificant beings is a complete waste of time anyway. Meanwhile, Nuri tries to calm a terrified guy nearby. Taehyung tells them to classify him right now. If they've got the guts. People collapse from the sheer pressure, and the chief completely freaks out, complaining that they sent him for a test, and now this times is happening. He groans that awakened individuals are precious, and they simply can't afford this chaos. The blonde girl, still smiling, says they're actually lucky he didn't go further. She claims her master was being quite kind, not seriously hurting anyone. The portly chief wonders what kind of monster this guy is, to cause such extreme reactions. Cut to the testing room. Taehyung confidently walks up to the evaluation sphere. An employee explains that, since he's a magic type, he needs to simply attack the sphere with his strongest ability. But Taehyung thinks to himself, it's ridiculous to use full power on a dumb, magic stone like this. He decides to use just enough strength, and declares, explode. But absolutely nothing happens. He's confused why mana-infused magic isn't working. From the control room, they tell him not to panic and try to relax. That, of course, pisses him off even more. He clenches his fist, absolutely furious. Then, he goes in with sheer brute force, punching the sphere with everything he's got, repeating explode. Suddenly, the sphere detonates in a massive blast of raw energy. It literally disappears. The operator is completely shaken, nervously, thanking him and saying they'll move to the next tests. But he cuts her off, declaring, it's pointless, since none of their equipment can even measure his true power. Annoyed, he just wants to know his final results already. A little while later, the chief demands the results from the operator. She hands him a tablet, its screen displaying, Class S. Later, the MC and Nuri relax at a cafe. He sips his green tea and immediately grumbles, it's way too bitter. Nuri offers him her drink, saying she can just order another. He accepts, takes a sip, and blushes slightly, clearly enjoying the flavor. She then asks him about his magical type. He replies that he might be a magical type. Confusing her, he explains he's only been using strength, enchantments this entire time, not his true times magic. He suddenly recalls a message stating, his magic is restricted outside the demon realm. Nuri is utterly shocked, realizing that magic itself is restricted here. She pictures him as some kind of circus magician, and he immediately scolds her. He thinks, I can totally read her thoughts. Summoning his castle would completely destroy this entire building, so that's a definite no-go. Just then, the chief calls his name, Taehyung turns, and the superior nervously announces the final verdict. He's Class S, the Times' first ever Times in the country. Nuri is absolutely speechless. Taehyung tells the chief not to try and butter him up, and just get to the point. The chief stammers, trying to explain everything. But Taehyung interrupts him again, and outright rejects the offer. Panicking, the chief insists, joining the media could bring him fame, and tons of money. Taehyung finds this annoying, declaring, "Money isn't a problem, I can get it anytime. They should just be grateful he's helping at all. Even a little bit," he adds. "He'll only help if they follow all times his conditions." Sung-ho, visibly sweating, realizes he needs to find a criminal, and fast. On the flip side, that criminal is chilling at home, bragging that no one can possibly catch them. A black car drives the MC and Nuri to a safe location. Inside, Sung-ho confirms he understands, and won't reveal Taehyung's ranking. They're setting up a safe location for him, and his servant watches the car drive away. The chief is in a serious sulk about not being able to reveal the country's first Class S. The red-haired girl explains how having a Class S would completely shatter the global power balance. The superior sighs, thinking that if people knew about him, they'd feel so much safer. The scene then jumps straight to our MC and his servant, pulling up to this incredibly lavish mansion. They make their way through a long garden, past a huge pool, heading toward the massive house. The blonde girl is absolutely stunned by the immense scale of everything, but the demon lord is totally unfazed. This doesn't even hold a candle to his own castle, though he grudgingly admits the place isn't half bad. Fast forward 3 days, and the White Tiger team leader makes an appearance at the mansion for a visit. As he nears the door, he hears unsettling noises from inside, and grows confused, wondering if a full-on brawl is kicking off in there. He nudges the door open a bit, to peek inside and figure out the chaos. He finds the training room utterly demolished, with the girl collapsed on the floor. The protagonist relentlessly pushes her, urging her to unleash everything she's got on him. She obeys, snatches her swords, and charges at her master. The team leader finally understands. They're in the midst of intense, hardcore training. The blonde girl crosses her swords and launches herself toward her master. Fully ready to strike, she plunges down from above, slashing hard, but Taehyung just calmly stands there, watching. She brings her swords crashing down on him, but he effortlessly catches them with his bare hands, leaving her absolutely dumbfounded. Then he casually times her across the room. She skids to a stop on her knees, poised to counter, but instead lets out a pained whimper. The young man declares training is finally over for today. He tells her she might still be weak, but she's steadily improving, so she needs to keep up the non-stop training. He then muses to himself that if she truly aspires to be his subordinate, she'll have to reach Class S. Nuri reminds him that today marks the deadline he set, which makes Sung-ho, still lurking by the door, absolutely panic. The girl then asks if he's seriously going to kill them. He declares he's already given them more than enough time. She counters, reminding him these are still precious lives. He shouldn't do this. Her words make him freeze. He hasn't heard anyone utter such a sentiment, not in centuries. He's instantly transported back to the demon realm, a place where life meant absolutely nothing, and survival reigned as the only law. He reassures her, this won't be some meaningless slaughter. This is revenge for his grandmother, and a dire warning. So nothing like this ever happens again. He adds that even if a few innocents perish, this action will ultimately save countless more. She agrees, and he suddenly realizes he's gotten soft ever since arriving in this world. The team leader suddenly bursts through the door, yelling, "I can't listen to your conversation any longer." He explains he's here to deliver something, and the young man grumbles, "You could have just called." Embarrassed, the leader explains he wanted to hand it over. Personally, he also notices the girl looks completely different now, and he wonders if it's because she's the young man's subordinate. Irritated, the demon lord declares he detests wasting time, so the leader apologizes again. He hands over a folder and states, the investigation results are inside, just as he promised. The young man opens the file, and discovers the culprits are none other than the Ilsim Guild, an infamous old gang that reawakened after their leader gained new powers. They're still cruel criminals, mercilessly tormenting normal people, but the White Tiger team can't even touch them, because the guild is deeply connected to the association. The demon lord snaps the folder shut and says, "Scumbags like that exist everywhere, don't they? And honestly, they're lucky." He tells the leader he can just sit back and let him handle all the dirty work. Then, he glances at his servant, and asks if she understands what needs to happen. The blonde girl looks confused for a mere second, but then, the realization dawns on her. He tells them to wait right here, because his long-awaited revenge is finally close. Meanwhile, the Ilsim Guild's leader, Kim Gil-tae, he's celebrating seizing yet another territory, and openly mocking the National Intelligence Service. feeling utterly untouchable. Until suddenly, a massive explosion rains down from the sky, slamming right into their building. Inside, everything erupts into chaos as guards scramble, desperate to protect their leader. They rush outside while Gulta angrily demands to know who dared attack them. The guild members look up at the sky, completely horrified as a flaming message appears, calling them to pay for their sins. They panic instantly, screaming for their leader, and pointing at something within the flames. Floating in the sky, the demon lord calmly asks if they are truly the Ilsim Guild. He commands them to confess their sins, and bow until their bones crack, promising to kill them painlessly only after they do. The guild members are terrified beyond reason. Their leader points at the demon lord, and shouts that he's the one responsible. He declares that he and his guild will kill him. One member thinks this is his big chance to gain rank, and charges forward, yelling insults. The demon lord drops down from the sky, looking at all of them with pure disgust. He lands hard, telling them this is their last chance, before he stops showing mercy. The criminals freak out, wondering what kind of monster they're facing. One coward decides to bail, screaming that he's done with this madness. But Taehyung asks, who said running was an option? He throws a metal beam straight through the guy, killing him instantly. The leader freezes, horrified at how brutally his man was killed. The demon lord says they could have had an easy death, but they lacked the guts. Gulti is speechless, and terrified by the protagonist's monstrous aura. He immediately ditches his guild, and tells them to fight instead. The boy laughs at how pathetic the leader is, for abandoning his own people. He thinks, this world isn't any better than the demonic one, and unleashes a huge blast that shakes everything. The area is left with wrecked ground, cracked walls, and destruction everywhere. Elsewhere, a safe room activates as windows seal. The door's just locked, the henchman exclaims. And this room's built with magical gems, you see, so normal attacks won't even scratch it. The leader seethes with anger, believing this is punishment for a job gone wrong. His henchman nervously asks, how many men are left, admitting he'd already sent everyone away. Suddenly, a squad of guild members gathers outside, hyping themselves up for battle. We can take down an A-class, they boast. They spot the intruder, and one immediately panics, shouting, that guy's way too strong. They realize he's a high-level awakened being, and charge him together. The demon lord grins savagely, absolutely loving the challenge. Come at me, all of you, he taunts. He charges in, wiping them out effortlessly, as they scream in panicked terror for help. Back inside the supposed safe room, the leader and his henchmen listen in absolute terror. The leader falls silent, deep in thought about the mayhem outside. The boy triggers a massive explosion, and casually asks, did that help at all? He strides through the destruction, toward their hiding spot, a cold expression on his face. Rats always end up in the walls, he states. The henchman is absolutely stunned, unable to believe one person beat so many. Awakened all by himself, he crawls to the reinforced window and bangs on it frantically, desperately screaming, I don't want to die. But the barrier doesn't budge. The demon lord seizes him by the neck. Why are you scared of dying, he asks, when you happily killed innocent people? Then he crushes the man's head, ending him instantly. The guild leader trembles uncontrollably, calling the boy a monster. The demon lord replies coldly, I only came for the total extermination of this guild. He asks the leader for one good reason, not to kill him right here, right now. The man lies, claiming everything was self-defense, but Taehyung knows the truth. He immediately calls out the lie, saying, you were the ones who attacked, without giving any chance. The leader is utterly stunned. He knows, and starts to think the boy must be joking. He tries to psych himself up, then, proclaiming he's the guild leader, and will personally kill our protagonist, even if it costs him an arm. He charges, launching a furious punch straight at Taehyung's face. But absolutely nothing happens. The leader is absolutely furious. When he realizes it didn't even leave a scratch, with chillingly glowing eyes, Taehyung then says, he'll give him 1 full minute to keep trying. The leader absolutely loses his mind, yelling that he simply cannot take this anymore. He unleashes punch after punch, but every single hit is blocked by an invisible barrier. Our boy watches him, as if he's watching paint dry, thinking to himself, there's no way he could ever lose to trash like this. Then, he suddenly remembers his beloved grandma, his entire reason for coming back to this place. The leader screams that this next punch will truly hurt, but before he can even land it, his arm is suddenly, cleanly cut, right off. Our demon lord simply stands still, while the man howls in agonizing pain, yelling that his minute isn't over yet. Taehyung looks down at him, casually saying he's changed his mind. He tells the man he'll finish him off now, and he'll make absolutely sure he feels Every single kind of pain imaginable. The leader desperately begs for help, asking why our protagonist even cares about their deaths. He promises anything, utterly desperate to survive, but everyone he could possibly turn to is already dead, at our boy's hands. With pure horror in his eyes, he realizes there's literally no one left to save him. He keeps begging for help until the very moment he dies. Sometime later, after the dust settles, the whole guild building is wrapped in official police tape. The chief looks around the absolute mess, essentially saying, "Our boy really didn't hold back at all." He sounds incredibly stressed, saying that even though this situation was already absolutely terrible, there was another huge problem just around the corner. He explains that the powerful Awakened Association wasn't just going to chill out and ignore this. One of the members then points out that this wasn't just a simple murder, this was straight up a full-blown massacre, and he questioned how they could possibly pretend this extreme level of violence didn't matter. Meanwhile, inside a somber meeting room, people were already squabbling over how to punish an S-Class Awakened. Someone declared they couldn't allow vigilante justice to start trending across the nation, but the meeting leader brushed all that aside, switching topics to a much bigger issue: the sudden spike in portals. He revealed a massive increase recently. 12 portals just this week alone, and strong monsters were popping out of them. The worst part was, no hunter had managed to take them down yet. Luckily, they had an S-Class on their side, and he trusted the young man to handle it. But he also added, the kid couldn't just do whatever he pleased. Right at that moment, the chief panicked. When the leader demanded the young man apologize for what had happened, the man with glasses immediately realized the leader was serious, and apologized. The leader calmed down a bit, saying he understood everyone's frustration with this whole unprecedented situation. He explained, they were dealing with an uncontrollable force, and now, the fate of the entire country was essentially in their hands. Meanwhile, the protagonist was just taking a shower. Through the mirror, he saw his servant finishing her chores. The blonde decided she needed to wash her master's clothes next, but when she opened his wardrobe, she was instantly stunned. Everything inside was the exact same outfit. She complained that the agency clearly had zero common sense. Grabbing a change of clothes, she went to her master, but then screamed in shock. Taehyung was drying his hair with a towel, and he asked why she was yelling, completely red. She demanded to know why. He walked out of the bathroom like that, stammering. She handed him the clothes, and begged for permission to leave quickly. She ran out, and he just thought about how reckless his subordinate was. Later, the two sat together in the garden, enjoying the day. Nori watched him quietly, thinking. He'd been silent for days, feeling utterly hollow after his revenge. She wondered what she could possibly do to lift his spirits, even just a little. Then, a brilliant idea suddenly sparked in her mind. She spun to face him, a bright, excited smile on her face. She beamed, leaned in closer, and eagerly suggested they go shopping together. He looked utterly surprised, echoing her suggestion back to her. She reasoned they needed new clothes anyway, and he actually seemed to warm up to the idea. Nori's spirits soared, getting super cheerful at his response. She declared she'd get ready right away, but he suddenly stopped her, mentioning a problem. And panicked, she immediately imagined the worst-case scenario, but he simply confessed he was completely broke. Nori promptly offered to lend him some of her own cash, but he immediately shot down the idea. He then summoned a magnificent purple crystal, proudly stating that Allahor doesn't borrow money. Clutching the sparkling gem, he explained that selling it would grant them more than enough cash. A short while later, they arrived at a towering building in the bustling city center. The girl explained. It was the National Intelligence Services trading market, a place where not only agents, but also awakened individuals conducted their business. As they walked in, a cheerful attendant greeted them warmly, asking what item they wished to sell. She explained she needed to see the item first for assessment, but the moment she laid eyes on the colossal purple crystal, she froze, completely stunned. Nervously, she asked them to wait while she quickly made a call. She immediately rang Mr. Park, excitedly telling him someone wanted to sell a rare gem, and breathlessly mentioned its abnormally large size. Minutes later, the man himself sat with them in his office, introducing himself as Park Sun-ho, from the sales division, and welcomed them. He privately wondered why an intelligence service agent was here, with this seemingly random guy. Then, the protagonist casually plunked the massive crystal onto the table. Park Sun-ho was utterly stunned, unable to believe its sheer size, and immediately asked about its level. The protagonist simply asked for their best offer, while the man could only stare, dumbfounded. Sun-ho quickly apologized, stating that buying something that massive would demand a national budget. He fumed, utterly annoyed by the talk of budgets. The young man snatched the crystal back, a look of pure disgust on his face. Then, he channeled his power, shattering the huge gem into smaller shards, leaving the sales guy absolutely dumbfounded. Meanwhile, the boy coolly asked, "Is this enough?" Park silently reeled, wondering how anyone could just times shatter, times magical stones. He gasped. "Even this tiny fragment is worth billions." He claimed he times could times buy it, but admitted he'd need time to gather the funds. The hero looked thoroughly unimpressed, stating, "The biggest trading market in the entire country doesn't even have enough cash on hand?" Nuri smoothly stepped in, asking if they could at least pay times, sometimes portion up front, right then. The man stammered, claiming this was an unprecedented situation, but the girl coolly reminded him they'd profit times massively times from those stones anyway. Then she laid down an ultimatum, "Pay 1 billion right now, and we'll accept." The protagonist just gaped at her, stunned by her audacious negotiation tactics. Under intense pressure, Park begrudgingly accepted, privately thinking the boy before him was an absolute wild beast. Shortly after, the staggering 1 billion transfer went through, landing directly in Taehyung's account. With the payment officially confirmed, Nuri flashed a triumphant smile and declared, "Now we can go shopping." Strolling down the street, she suggested they check out the master's clothes first. She was absolutely giddy about the incredible deal she'd just secured. Meanwhile, back at the office, Mr. Park was absolutely seething. He raged about how those worms dared to pull such a stunt on him. He couldn't believe they'd taken advantage of someone who considered himself among the elite. Still fuming, he snatched up his phone and swore he'd show them the times, true times, power of money. He made a call, coldly stating, "I have some scoundrels I need taken care of." Far away from all that rage, the protagonist and his subordinate happily enjoyed their shopping trip, when suddenly, the sky above them turned an ominous purple, and lightning cracked everywhere. A sinister, vibrant purple aura surged across the city sky, instantly grabbing everyone's attention. Despite the ominous spectacle, the girl remained utterly excited, still admiring all the fancy clothing stores. She pointed at one shop and excitedly begged her master to go with her, but he simply told her to pick something out first. Since he didn't need a single thing, she instantly shot down the idea, declaring today was all about revamping his wardrobe. She grabbed his arm and practically dragged him inside, insisting he would look good today. He just watched her quietly, a little taken aback by her sheer boldness. He thought, the more he observed her, the more impressive she truly seemed. He looked at her hand, still holding his fingers, and continued, thinking that the more closely he paid attention, the more peculiar she became. They soon arrived at a super fancy clothing store called Mori. At the entrance, a nicely dressed employee bowed low, asking if they were looking for anything specific. Nuri pointed at the clothes excitedly, and told him to dress her boss, head to toe, in the absolute times best they had. The protagonist groaned, finding the whole thing incredibly boring. Meanwhile, that sinister portal kept relentlessly expanding, pulsing purple energy across the entire city. Soon, the store employees returned, declaring their work was done. The girl was utterly struck speechless, completely amazed by her master's stunning new look. Wearing his new outfit, the protagonist admitted he wasn't used to clothes quite like that asterisk. Feeling awkward, he hesitantly asked her what she thought. Flushed and stuttering, she managed to say he looked really handsome, swearing she meant it, and that he looked absolutely amazing. He remarked she couldn't wait to tell everyone that he was her master. He adjusted his collar, still feeling uncomfortable, and said they could go. She asked if he didn't want to check himself in the mirror, but he simply said he didn't need to. Her opinion mattered more to him. Then, he told her it was time to buy her things. Blushing hard, she inwardly thought he liked the outfit, and that she got exactly what she wanted. He urged her to hurry, and she agreed excitedly. After a while of extensive shopping, the two stopped at a cafe to rest and grab some drinks. Holding all the shopping bags with a big, satisfied smile, the girl looked completely and utterly satisfied with how everything had turned out. Suddenly the young woman's eyes go wide, because she spots something super weird in the city sky. She immediately looks up, totally startled by whatever just popped up menacingly above them. The duo freezes, staring at this a bizarre purple portal just tore open out of nowhere, hovering ominously above the entire city. Every single person on the street freezes solid, their eyes fixed on this horrifying new sight. The blonde girl asks what it is, and her boss grimly confirms it. Yup, a gate has definitely just opened. But the young man immediately observes that this particular portal is unlike anything he's ever seen. And from within that swirling portal, a monstrous red creature slowly, menacingly, begins to crawl out. A gigantic, terrifying eye glares down at the city, staring out from deep within the dimensional rift. The girl's composure shatters as panic sets in. She frantically explains that an unannounced gate violation is disastrous news, making her face turn pale. As she grasps that this portal is completely unknown, she explains that these types of portals are harbingers of disaster or impossibly powerful enemies. She even recalls a truly horrifying creature that once emerged from one of those unknown portals. She glances down, right as the protagonist opens his mouth. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the city, everyone on the street is still transfixed by the sky, engulfed in absolute panic. The young man declares that this creature is going to be stronger than anything he's ever faced. The menacing red monster continues its slow, terrifying emergence from the purple portal, right there, in the heart of the city. Freaking out, the girl frantically calls for help, and warns them they are in grave danger. He frantically attempts to explain that an unknown gate is on the verge of fully opening. Just then, with a horrifying lurch, the creature's massive arms violently burst through the portal, sending shivers of pure terror through the crowd. But the protagonist, unyielding, stares at the monster, with a bold, unwavering gaze, a challenging look that practically screams, "Bring it on." Finally, the grotesque head of a crimson demon, with razor-sharp fangs, fully emerges in the sky. Its horrifying, guttural roar echoes. As it fully materializes before the terrified populace, the instant the monstrous entity fully appears, buildings immediately begin to crumble and collapse. Utter chaos erupts across the entire city. Nuri frantically screams into the phone that the gate is open, and the entire situation has spiraled completely out of control. People sprint desperately through the crumbling streets, screaming at each other to move amidst the chaos. A mother tragically loses sight of her little daughter, leaving the terrified child all alone. The person on the phone presses the blonde, asking what she'd meant about evacuating civilians. They question if she's even listening, but the girl is utterly stunned, unable to respond. She finally stammers that her master will evacuate everyone, desperately trying to reassure them that everything's going to be okay, while they just wait for reinforcements. But the demon lord just grins, with a dark, maniacally excited expression. His partner stares at him in terror, calling out his name. His eyes glow menacingly red as he gives a sinister, hyped-up smirk. The young man instantly recognizes the creature, exclaiming, "It's an arrogant, insane dragon beast." He flashes back to a brutal fight in the demon realm, where he literally ripped one of their throats out. Gazing at the glowing portal, he thinks, "Finally, someone worthy has shown up." A vibrant magic circle flares to life around him, and he absolutely revels in the chance to fight all out against a truly strong enemy. Panicking, the girl screams her master's name, desperately trying to snap him out of his bloodlust. That desperate plea hits him, and he actually pauses. Turning toward her, tears stream from her eyes as she begs him to help evacuate the innocent civilians. He looks at the blonde once more, shocked by the raw desperation in her voice. Meanwhile, the little girl remains lost and crying, utterly alone in the ruined street. The protagonist then looks down, noticing tiny ants scuttling near his feet. His mind drifts back to a time he once declared that this entire world was far too weak. As a doorknob turned to ashes in his grasp, he had stated nothing here could handle his power. Then, remembering his partner, he'd also claimed not even the monsters here were worthy. He looked at the blonde standing before him, but when he tried to touch her, she shattered like glass as he muttered, "Not even people can withstand my power." He kept thinking about how utterly fragile this world was. To him, it was like a mere sandcastle teeming with ants. Back in the present, people frantically run in chaos, while he simply stands there, completely unfazed, his eyes still glowing, menacingly red. He admits everyone's weakness utterly grates on him. He recalls the brutal demon world, where only the strong survived, devouring the weak. For him, pitying the weak was an unforgivable luxury, and protecting them was downright foolishness. But this tiny world completely upended that natural law, and it deeply infuriated him. He grows tired of constantly restraining himself, deciding he's done living uncomfortably. After all, this is the first true opponent he's faced in years. Floating upward, engulfed in a dark aura, he shouts that now, no one can stop him. Desperate, the girl cries out for her master again, forcing him back to the harsh reality. With a devastated look, she begs him to help her. Tears stream down her face as she clasps her hands, pleading for him to save these innocent people. Up in the sky, the monstrous red creature roars again, blasting out destructive energy. Debris from a department store begins raining down. She looks up, wondering if she can possibly destroy all of it. The blonde leaps into the air, her blades spinning wildly, as she slices through some of the falling debris. To protect the crowd, but she panics, because she can't stop all the pieces by herself. As some debris is about to crush a mother and her child, she screams. Then, an invisible barrier suddenly appears, blocking the impact. Nori watches, utterly stunned. The protagonist just used his magic to protect the two. Then, he obliterates the rest of the falling rocks, before they can hit the civilians. His subordinate stares at him, absolutely stunned, while he finally smiles calmly. He then tells her to evacuate everyone. He floats in the air, surrounded by a powerful aura, while she watches from below. He reflects on how he almost completely ignored his own subordinate, engulfed in flames. He declares he won't be an incompetent lord. The girl thanks him sincerely, and runs off to guide the civilians out. She blushes, feeling genuinely happy. As she carries out his orders, with her blades ready, she yells for everyone to follow her, and leave immediately, pointing the way. Meanwhile, the boy thinks he's doing all this because of her. He figures helping for a few seconds won't kill him, but standing alone amidst the ruined street, he declares, "There's a catch." He glares intensely at the creature hovering in the sky, stating he despises that monstrosity looming above him. Then, dark, shadowy wings erupt from his back, glowing with an intense red light. The wings unfurl completely as he ascends into the air, shooting upward, ready to face the threat head-on. Gazing at the monster trapped within the portal, he observes that the creature appears to be stuck. Its giant eye fixates on him with pure, unadulterated rage. With a wicked grin, he tells the monster he'll help pull it out. Then, he seizes the dragon's snout and delivers a punch, with insane, unimaginable strength, yeeting the colossal monster straight into outer space. The people and his partner simply gape at the sky in utter shock. Our hero declares that up there, they can fight without any interruptions. With a brilliant flash of colors, he rockets upward, smiling as he ascends. Everyone watches. A dazzling beam of light launch into outer space. In an instant, they're both transported to space, floating above Earth. The red dragon frantically looks around for its sudden opponent. The boy materializes right in front of it, asking if the beast is truly awake now, and stating no one will disturb them this time. With his glowing eye, he observes that this truly seems like an ancient dragon. He hopes the dragon won't make a fool of him. Then, a floating screen suddenly pops up with information about the creature. Karos, it reads. The beast got lost and violated the rules, due to some mysterious contract. He wonders if the dragon completely gave up on itself, and violated its sacred contract. Suddenly, the creature opens its gaping maw, and begins to form a pulsating blue energy sphere. It unleashes a devastating energy beam, and the young man immediately recognizes the immense danger. Floating amidst the vastness of space, he realizes the human world is directly behind him. If that attack were to strike Earth, it would be an absolute massacre, he warns. He could block it easily, but then, coming all the way out here to fight, would have been utterly pointless. So, he resolutely chooses to tank the attack head-on. The powerful beam strikes him directly, but an invisible barrier shields him. The dragon pauses, certain it got him, but the boy just stands there, suspended in space, completely unharmed. The protagonist glares at the dragon, and gripes that he just bought those clothes. The creature gets furious and charges another, even bigger energy blast, but the boy just smiles confidently, and dashes at the beast at high speed. He lands a massive punch on the dragon's side, then another right on its head. The red beast screams in pain, for the first time realizing its opponent's strength. Looking at his flaming fist, the boy comments that after so long, that actually felt good. He's happy to finally hit something that doesn't break. From a light tap, the creature roars and tries to bite him again. The boy touches the dragon's skin, almost like he's analyzing its texture. The beast activates a magical shield to defend itself from the boy's attacks. The protagonist studies it with a serious, analytical look. The monster roars again, showing its sharp fangs. The demon lord kicks the barrier with full force, but nothing happens. He realizes this. The dragon can use magic. The creature made a barrier that won't fully block attacks, but is enough to drag the fight out. He admits he still hasn't mastered this world's magic, enough to break it normally, but with a grin, he says there's nothing brute strength can't solve. He finds long fights boring, so he decides to use a special item. He opens a purple portal and pulls something out. His eyes shine as he reveals his weapon, the legendary dragon blade Ascalon. Holding it, he asks if the monster recognizes it. He explains that the blade was forged from the spine of the demon, Dragon Zigma. The monster snorts at the mention of the sword's origin. The boy says, "This weapon is the worst thing the dragon could ever face." The creature breathes blue fire toward him, and he asks if it wants to test the blade. With a single slash, he cuts the beam clean in half. Gripping the sword tight, He grins, declaring its power is absolutely insane. The monstrous creature charges once more, attempting to devour him, but the boy is lightning fast and skillfully dodges. He aims the blade straight for the dragon's chest, then pierces it with one precise, deadly strike, sending the colossal beast hurtling backward. With a smirk, he warns the dragon that now, it won't be able to pull any more magic tricks. Maintaining his ready attack stance, he observes the sword deeply embedded in the beast's chest. He declares, "Now, it's my turn," and unleashes a devastating right hook. That sends the dragon soaring far, far away. Meanwhile, in a nearby space station, two stunned workers watch on, as the dragon suddenly blasts past their window, leaving them utterly horrified. The creature latches onto the station's structure, with all its might. Smiling, the boy admits the dragon is pretty skilled. He wonders aloud what trick the beast will try next, as vivid purple flames swirl menacingly around him. The boy recognizes it. Level 6, Explosion. A magic flare, he scoffs. Does the dragon seriously think it can hit me? With that, the dragon lunges to attack, but he declares the beast is totally wrong. He reveals the monster can't even touch him, because his magic resistance is completely maxed out. The creature recoils in pure shock, and the boy taunts. "Is that all you've got?" "If so," he proclaims, "it's time for a full-on, brute force fight. No more tricks." With a wicked smile, he prepares to deliver the final, crushing blow. Then, both combatants unleash their ultimate attacks.